Wrong one. Start that way. Okay. Let's put the headphones on. See how things are going. A bit rusty. It's been 2 weeks since I've done this. Am I coming in nice and loud? Let's wait for it. Yes, I am. I can hear myself. Step 1. Feel like I'm going to forget something in all my steps. All right. Cool. Okay. So let me just make sure everything is ready to go. If you have any questions, please chuck them in. I'll be more than happy to help out. Really looking forward to tonight, just chatting Drupal. Because I've missed the last 2 weekends or two Fridays. Yeah. All right, so that's gone. We're 3 minutes ahead of schedule. Okay, that's interesting. Everything is coming in, which is great. Surprisingly, I am ahead of schedule, which is cool. All right, so it's going to be a fun one tonight. Please just bring your questions. If you have any specific questions you want answered, and you want them answered immediately. All right, so what do I do here? I fix this up, move that around so I can see comments, and there we go. All right, cool. I see everything. Start recording there. What else do? I start recording in Camtasia. Select the right mic. And we are good to go. The right one? Cool. Excuse me. All right. Well, we're 1 minute to go, and then we are going to rock and roll. I'm actually on time, surprisingly, which is pretty cool. I'm looking forward to tonight. Tonight's going to be a fun one. And I think I'm prepared for next week because I think I've got an idea for next week. I think. I'll see. Oh, nice. First comment. Cool. All right. So let's get started. It is 8:30 my time. Well, it will be 8:30 soon. And we're going to get right into it. Alrighty, ready. Wait, what am I doing? Yeah. And duplicate. All right. I just thought of one extra idea. Okay, cool. Okay, got that. Recording there. Everything's ready to go. All right. Let's get this party started. Oh, here we go. It is 8:30. Everything's recording. And did this post? I have to just double check this. Yes, it did. Great. And we are ready to rock and roll. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. let me just switch this over to the main feed. All right, so just before we begin, I just want to promote something that I've kind of launched, and this has been in the works for a while. This is a WebWash premium community that I've got set up over at webwash.net/premium. And I've been trying to figure out ways of like monetizing my live streams, because at this point, I think I've done 74 live streams and I want to keep doing it, but I want to also try and make some money from it as well. Because I really do enjoy doing it. But then once I can make a bit of money from it, then I can invest a bit more time and resources. So I've got this WebWash premium community. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Check it out. Go to webwash.net/premium. Right now, it is a lifetime membership for €99. Just come along in here. And what you get access to is all the top live streams ad-free. And also they have been cut up. And I'm slowly just adding in more and more live streams. And there's also a community as well. So here I've got a community, well, a forum where you can ask questions. And right now it's a bit quiet because it's just me. So please, if you want to support this channel, support the stuff that I'm doing, check it out. Over time, there's going to be more courses. I've got some of the top ones and I've just broken things out into bite-sized chunks. And I do have some other ideas, but I just need to try and see and validate this idea, see if people actually want this. So check it out. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment about it. But let's talk about now how content editors would use Drupal CMS. So I had this idea for a video for a while, because most of my videos focus around how to build things as site builders in Drupal, how to write code in Drupal, but I didn't have any content that was specifically targeted to people or users that are generally non-technical or non-techie. So this video focuses on a content editor's guide to using Drupal CMS, because there's all of these Drupalisms that we kind of get used to, but that may not be obvious to new editors. So if you're promoting Drupal CMS and you want your editors to learn about Drupal, well then send them to this video and also bump up the views as well. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through the process of logging in, creating content, also doing a bit of SEO, learning about taxonomy, and just doing basic content-ish stuff. And we're just going to go through a standard workflow of just building out a page in Drupal CMS. And I'll just mention things to be aware of, and also just kind of explain things from a non-technical standpoint. So right here, I've got a pretty basic Drupal CMS site. The only thing that I've done, I believe I've installed a few recipes. Okay. So let's start things off by figuring out how to actually log into a Drupal site, because believe it or not, some people don't know that. And so let's start things off with the basics. How do you log into a Drupal site? Well, if you come to a website like this and you can see the actual login menu, then you just click on this login button. Now, often on Drupal sites that I've worked on, we don't even have the login button at all. So you can access it by clicking on login, or you can just you can go directly to user/user, which will then take you to the login page. If you have registration turned on, you will also have registration. And if you have a forgotten password button, you can also come here and reset your password. Now to log in, all you need to do is log in with your username and password. So I'll just log in with my username and password, and straight away I'm redirected to the Drupal backend. Now for this video, I'm going to focus on just logging in through, using the Drupal admin account, because I realized trying to prepare for this, it's like, oh, should I create a separate account? But then you might hit issues where you have problems with user permissions, and it's just going to really slow things down. So I'm just going to be using the the admin account throughout this video. So I've logged in. If you want to log out, what you can do is hover over your username and then click on log out, and you can log back out, and that's it. So Drupal has this concept of a front end and a back end theme. This front end theme, as you can see, it's got a certain look and feel. This is the front end theme. Now, if you log in and your user account has access, very important, you will see this backend theme, and you can manage everything through the backend. And also the paths start with /admin/ and then whatever the path is. All right, so we've got our first comment. As a content editor, do I need to write down what content I want? Can I integrate Figma for me to utilize it? All right, there's a lot to unpack here. So Figma, isn't Figma for design? I mean, can you write content in Figma? And then my understanding, Figma's a design tool. So you'll write your content in Drupal. Drupal's a content management system, and Figma is the look and feel of it. Now, there's no easy way of pressing a magical button and getting a Figma designs set up in Drupal. There might be in the future using AI, but yeah, I'm not quite sure if it works like that right now. So once you have logged in to your Drupal CMS site, you are redirected to the dashboard. And from this dashboard, you have your recent content and also your top tasks. Now, these are blocks, and you can go ahead and edit these and add in whatever you want into them, as long as you've got access to it. Let me just confirm that. And to go through this backend, as long as you have access to all of this, okay, if you click on, well, if you hover over create, you can create a few pieces of content, such as basic page, blog post, event, news items. These are content types. And then you have your document types or media types, which is document and image. And then you have user. Then from content, you can manage all of your content. And we'll get into more detail about that. Then under media, you can manage all of your reusable media assets. Under trash, you can restore content which has been added to the bin. Then you have structure, and this is where you can manage the structure of your website. Then under appearance, you have things where you can modify the the theme look and feel. But the level of flexibility really depends on the theme that you are using. And then, of course, under extend, you can install modules and also recipes as well. And that's a new Drupal feature. Then under configuration, you can configure your site. So there's a whole bunch of configuration items, such as user accounts, mail, and stuff like that. And we'll look at that in more detail. Then you can manage your users from here. And then finally, under reports, you can view certain amount of reports as well. So there's a lot here, and depending on your user level, you may or may not see these options. So again, this may look a little different on your Drupal site. Okay, so got a few questions here. So let me start off from the top. Okay. So where are we? All right. Can we add HTML CSS in Drupal? Yes, you can. They're just media assets. They're just assets that can be added through the theme. And I do have a video on adding in JavaScript and CSS libraries. So that can easily be done. As a content editor, how do I add animation on a paragraph? Images that I upload, what type of animation are you after? Because yes, you can create a paragraph. You can then add an image field to that paragraph type. And then to add the animation, you need to then attach a library which points to a CSS and JavaScript file that needs to be attached. Okay, so the next one is, hello, hi, my client asked me how to paste the text in the body field without formatting. for pasting from Google Docs, it adds default styling. I do believe there's a few ways of doing that. You can paste in, what is it? I'm just looking at my keyboard. Unformatted, I know on a Mac, if you do Command Shift, what is it? V, that will remove styling. And also from the CKEditor, you can also, there's a button to remove styling as well. And another comment, second question, don't bring out, hey, send the questions over. What is the admin theme that I'm using? This is Gin. So if you're looking for Gin, what is it? Drupal Gin. It will be the new admin theme for Drupal 11.3, I believe. Yeah, so Drupal 11.3 is moving over, and also Drupal CMS uses it by default. I got another comment. Thank you, WebWash. I always watch your video tutorials. Thank you for keeping us educated and free. Not a problem. Keep watching. Keep watching. So yeah, Gin theme is going to be the new admin theme for Drupal across the board. So right now it is for Drupal CMS and also Drupal 11.3, I believe. That was last discussion. Okay. Well, if you don't like Gin, hey, there's always choice. There's always choice. Another comment. Can we convert HTML CSS to a Drupal theme? Of course you can do that. You do that by hand, or you use AI to do it. That's a whole other video. The whole point, yeah. This stream's all about content editors creating Drupal. Using Drupal. That is a whole theming live stream in itself. All right, let's jump into it. So where is my thing? All right. So now that you have an understanding of just the backend and also all of the options on the sidebar, let's go ahead and actually create some content, because at the end of the day, this is a CMS. It's a content management system. The whole point of Drupal is to write content. Okay. So if we hover over create, we do have a few options here. And so Drupal has this concept of a content type. So think of a content type as kind of a template for a page. So if we open up basic page and event, because we will see a difference between the fields. A basic page allows you to add in a title, featured image, description, and content, and all your main body field. But an event has a few more options, because for an event, you want a title, featured image, which is great, but then you have date, location address, then you have a link, and then you have files, and you have a few more items. So think of a content type as kind of like a page template. And that's the same for blog, I believe, as well. Maybe blog's pretty much the same as content. Yeah, see, a lot of these content types are very similar, but they just like to separate it out, because it does make life a lot easier when you have a blog being used as a blog and it's going to be shown in a particular area, and a page is just something that's going to be shown in another particular area as well. All right, so 2 comments here regarding AI. Yes, you can use AI. Do I have a video? I don't have one specifically to Drupal, because I did have one, but it's out of date now because it keeps changing pretty much every week. But again, AI is a very moving target. So if you want to, so I assume you're referring to creating a Drupal theme using AI. You can use like Claude code. I don't have a particular video for that, but then you can use AI within Drupal, but that doesn't build a theme for you. So at this point, I'm not sure there is a way of just showing showing Claude code. Here's some HTML, build it out into a Drupal theme. I'm not sure about that. So let's go ahead now and create an actual page. So what I'll do is I do have some test content here. I'll put in a title, And I'll also add in one of my images that I've got. Let me see. I've got a bunch of images here from last time I was at a plane museum. I'll put this one in there. Oh, wait, no. I have to click on add media. Then what you want to do is then add it as a feature image. And we'll call this one Southern Cross. And click on save. And we'll insert selected. And then we have our description, and I'll paste in some basic description in there. And now we need to copy over our actual content. Now, before I copy in the content, there's more comments about this formatting because I'm going to exactly copy in content from Google Docs into here. So the comment is, thanks for the answer. Actually, unformatting button in CKEditor doesn't work all the time as expected. This week I did a demo, passed the text, which included HTML, and formatting button didn't remove the styles. Okay. All right. So let's now take a look at copying over content, because what I've got is so if I show it here, this is perfect for this explanation. So here I've got a bit of HTML from Google Docs that I want to copy across. Okay. So what I can do is go copy, and I do have a few options here. Okay. So if I just paste it in, it is, so, and if we go view source, okay, it is going to throw in the strong element. And that's one thing I've noticed. Now, if we select all and then click on this remove format, it still has these attributes, but it does clean up a lot of things. Now, again, it really comes down to how much formatting you have in Google, Drive or Google Docs. So let me just double check that. Let me actually put in there. Well, what I'll do, let me move this back. I'll put in bold and see what happens. But if you add in a color, let's have a look actually. So if I copy this is a good example. So let's go in there. So if I copy this color in, oh no, that didn't copy across. That was meant to be red. That was meant to be red, but that didn't copy across. So you do have a few options, okay? When it comes to copying over content from Google Docs, because this is something that I've been thinking about as well. What you could do is perhaps you could do something where they copy it in Markdown, and then they paste it into Drupal somehow, because I do know that CKEditor does support Markdown, so you can do stuff like this. So you can put in like 3 headers and do things like that. But if we copy over, let me just double check this. Actually, let me go back, and back. But if I copy over and I go, so yeah, let me bring this browser back. What I can do is I can copy and then copy as Markdown. See this option right here, copy as Markdown. Then you have the problem of if you paste that, it's going to just paste it as Markdown, which isn't exactly what you want. Let's go here. And now does that, I see that doesn't do it as well. You could probably install a module. There is a Markdown module that could potentially be used. So have a look at somehow integrating Markdown. So Google Docs, export, copy as Markdown, and then copy it into here. Maybe that's an option there. So in the meantime, what I'll then do is just simply paste, or not that one. Let me copy it. Let me just do a standard copy. And then I do a, what is it? Shift Command V. See, Shift Command V just removes all formatting, and it's not that great. But what I can do is just go paste. So Command V, and then just remove formatting. And that kind of cleans it up. Anyway, it's the best That's the best for now. But when it comes to this type of stuff, you're always cleaning out. This is what dealing with content on the internet is all about. And that's why I always find it funny when people are like, oh, writing content in Drupal's difficult and it's not as good as WordPress or something. Like, and don't get me wrong, I use WordPress, but writing content online in general isn't the greatest. Just formatting content's annoying to begin with. All right, so there's another comment. The client asked this because he didn't have such kind of problems in WordPress. Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see. Well, I'll be curious to know what type of editor they were using in WordPress. Were they using the old Tiny MCE or were they using Gutenberg? And WordPress does a better job. Unfortunately, it does a better job when it comes to moving content around. It does, absolutely, absolutely. So it does that. All right, so where were we? Got a bit off track there. Let's get into it. Okay. So I've copied over the content. And then if we scroll down, we have tags. Now, tagging is just a way of categorizing content. And in Drupal CMS, you have the tags field, but you can have as many category types as you want. And what we can do is we can type in plain, and then if you can't find it, and if it's been configured, we can add in a new tag. And we can put in, what is it? Aircraft, put in another one, and it can be tagged as well that way. You can also click and move things around. So if you want the order to play an important part, you can do so as well. And then on the right-hand side, we have a few options. So we have revision. We can add things to the menu. You can also schedule in content. You can control what happens to sitemap XML, also URL alias. And I believe we've also got the authoring information and promotions as well. So you can actually specify, and I am probably in the way. So give me a moment because I know my head's in the way. Oh, there we go. So right down here, I'm just looking at the stream. You've got these promotion options where you can make it promoted or have it move to the front page. Let's go back. All right. So once everything is done, we can then up the top here, click on save, or you can preview the content. And previewing sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work, depending if you're working on a custom site. And what I mean by this is when you are building a heavily custom Drupal site, it may or may not work. So just ask your developers if it's actually working. And then if we go back here, we can go back to the content edit page and we can click on save. And right now, our piece of content has been saved, but it's been saved as a draft. And what we need to do is now publish it, because you'll notice that it's got like a pink color, and that is because the front-end theme just styles it like that. So if something's unpublished or in a draft state, it'll show it as kind of like a pinkish color. And if you want to publish it, you can simply select published and then click on apply, and that will then publish it and make it available. And now it is published for everyone to see. Now, if we go to content here on the left-hand side, we can see our page that we have just created, and we can also see that it is published. Now, let's just quickly go through the workflow, because that is important to understand. So Drupal has this thing called content moderation. So you can have a workflow for your content, and it is pretty powerful. When you compare it to other CMSs, even WordPress, I'll say. Now, I'm sure WordPress has a plugin that you can pay for to get this functionality, but this is supported out of Drupal core. Okay, so this is supported out of, when you just install Drupal core, you get revisions and also workflow and content moderation. So if we edit this piece of content, right now, the state is set to published. So we can unpublish it or we can set it to draft. Now, if we set it to draft, And let's just click on save. And we go into our page. Let's see, do we have yes. Right now, we are viewing the published revision. But if we click on this option up the top, in the top right, we do have this latest version. So this is the latest draft revision. So we can go ahead in here, and if we make a change, so let's make a change right now. So we'll call this one draft revision. Okay, so let's make that bold and click on save. We can see our draft revision, but if we click on the actual published revision, we're still seeing the older version. So you can have a published revision, which is available to the public, and a draft revision, which is only available for people who have access to that revision. So that's important to understand. It's not just published or unpublished. Now, in the past, when I didn't have any type of workflow on other CMSs, I'm talking about WordPress, because believe it or not, WebWash.net actually runs WordPress. If I wanted to update a piece of content, you would essentially just duplicate it, work on it, and then I do believe there is a plugin that just makes it easy where you can work on it, and then once you're ready to publish it, it pretty much just copies across. But in this state, but with content moderation, you do have a published revision, and then you have your draft revision, and you can run them at the same time. So you can send off an email and give somebody access if they have a login, and they can review the draft revision. Now, every single Drupal site will work differently. So be aware of that. They might have a in progress or a needs review step, all sorts of steps. I've worked on many sites that have all sorts of revisions and things like that. But that is one pretty cool feature. And so if we come along in here, and what I'll do is I'll open this up in a new incognito tab. We can see the published revision. We can only see the published revision. Let me move this so I can get access to it. Now, once I am ready to publish it, I can come here, latest revision, and I can select published and click on apply, or I can just click on edit and then just change it to published. It does the same thing. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and do that. And now I no longer have a latest revision or latest version, because my draft revision is now, well, it's no longer a draft revision. It is now a published revision. And if I want to, let me close that. If I want to view all the revisions, I can do so from here. You can see all the revisions, and you can go back in time as well. And if you want to unpublish it, what you can do is simply select unpublished, and that will remove it from the front end, and then just set it to unpublished. And then if you want to restore it, you pretty much just need to go through the same workflow of setting it back to draft, but understand, it doesn't revert and publish the old published revision. You still need to go through the standard workflow. So come along in here, and then just simply click on published, and it is published. So that's kind of the workflow. When it comes to managing content in Drupal. Another feature you can do, so if you click on content, another great feature of Drupal CMS is that you can duplicate content. So you can come along in here and click on duplicate, and it will go ahead and duplicate, click on published, and now you've duplicated your page. Pretty simple. Nice, quick, and easy. Now, if you want to delete content, okay, there's one thing to be aware of. Drupal CMS utilizes this great module called trash. It's essentially a recycling bin for your content. You can install this on any type of Drupal site. It's just a module. But I was made aware of this when I used Drupal CMS, because it's kind of funny. I remember a long time ago working with an editor, and they just deleted content thinking that there was a trash bin, because everyone's used to a recycling bin, trash bin, whatever you want to call it, in your OS. And I was contacted and I was told, all right, can you just restore this page from the recycling bin? Oh no, they said, oh, how can where's the recycling bin in the CMS? I just want to restore a page that I deleted. And I had to kind of explain to them, there is no recycling bin. But now there is, and that is thanks to trash. So what we can do is we can go ahead and simply delete this duplicated page. And if we click on delete and then go to trash, you will see that it is here. So it's technically not deleted. So from a database standpoint and also a content policy standpoint, it's not technically deleted. So if you have any type of, it's depending on the, I can foresee a situation where in certain countries, if you have privacy, like privacy policies and things like that, where if content is deleted, it has to be deleted. And if you do say that, we're going to delete content off your site, make sure it's actually deleted. But from a database standpoint, a page which has been deleted or that's in the trash bin is just simply a column in the database set to 1 or 0. It's just a Boolean. So to restore it, we can click on restore. If you want to fully delete it, you click on purge, and that goes in there and says this action can't be undone. It will be deleted. So go ahead and then simply delete it. And now it is fully deleted. Now from the content page, you can manage all of your content from here, and you can search for, contact. You can search by title. You can also search by content type. Then you have moderated state. So here you can see that there's a draft version of the privacy policy. And also if you schedule content, you can see what has been scheduled, and you can do so from here. Now we quickly touched on tagging. Let me quickly go through that just so we can cover that off, because that's an important part. So Drupal has this concept of category types or taxonomy terms. That's the more technical term. I never knew the word taxonomy even existed until I started using Drupal. So I kind of learned a new word when I started using Drupal. I would always call it category type or something. No, back when I started, the whole concept of tagging. Remember Web 2.0? Who remembers that? The whole concept of tagging didn't even exist. So it was always like category type. And if we come into edit, you can see here we have our tags. And to manage all of these, what you can do is go to structure and taxonomy. And you can click here and then click on list terms, and you can see all of your terms right here. So a vocabulary, so you might have like 20 different vocabularies. And I've worked on Drupal sites where I've had that many vocabularies, like status, project status, project status, program category, product category. Well, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of different things. Content type, asset type. There's a lot of them. So when you create your vocabulary type, you would create it from here, and then within that you have your categories, and you can come along here and reorder them. So this is important. Sometimes you will have a massive list of taxonomy terms that are maintained, because one thing I've learned, content editors really take pride in organizing their taxonomy lists. And that plays an important part in information architecture. Trust me, as somebody that's tried to fix up information architecture on my own website, on like webwash.net, I've attempted many times to clean it up. It's such a hard thing to do. But from this tags page, you can set up certain levels of taxonomy, which is pretty useful. And I do have a video, a live stream on advanced ways of managing your taxonomy terms. So check it out if you want to learn more about it. But up the top here, the top right, you can then reset to alphabetical. And also if you edit, you can change the name. So the name of the taxonomy term can be changed as long as, and this is important, as long as you haven't written any custom code that depends on the name. Because every taxonomy term has an ID. So you can see up the top here, we have taxonomy term, taxonomy/term/2. So that's the ID. But I've also worked on websites where developers would grab the taxonomy name and then add that to an if statement in the template. So if you make a change, you can break a site. I've seen things. Trust me, I've seen things. I've probably been guilty of doing things like that as well, just to get things over the line. But yeah, just be aware of that you can change the name, but just be aware that, talk to your developers and make sure it's safe to do so. Every taxonomy term does get an index page. So if we click on it, you will see an index page that simply shows all the content that has been indexed. But again, it comes down to how complex your website is and also how modified your website is, because it may or may not work exactly like this in Drupal CMS. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the taxonomy system. Just understand that on your Drupal site, the taxonomy system is used to tag and categorize content. And so you will see it available 9 times out of 10 as a autocomplete field or a drop-down, such as this. All right, I'm just looking at my list now. What are we going to talk about next? Okay, so let's now talk about media handling, because that's the other part of managing content, and that is actually managing media. So if we click on the media page, here we can see all of our uploaded media. And if you want to add media content, you can click on Add Media up the top here, top right, and you have 4 different media types. Now, you can create different media types. You can create as many as you want. But out of the box, Drupal CMS gives you document, image, remote video, and SVG image. So document is for PDFs, image is for images, self-explanatory. That's the one you'll use the most. Remote video is for YouTube and Vimeo. And also you have SVG. Now, when I created the feature image for our test page, I created it as a media item. And so you can upload images a few ways, or media assets a few ways. So you can upload it just by adding it this way. You can also upload it by editing a piece of content. And if we click on the X and then click on Add Media, we can upload it this way. Either way creates a media asset. And the benefit of a media asset is that it can then be reused anywhere you have a media field. So that's very important. It's better than just having an image field directly on your content type. Now, that's more of a conversation about site building, but always use a media asset if you can. But as content editors, you don't have to worry about that. Tell your site builders to always use media assets, because then you can reuse it. Because you can see that this image that I uploaded of the Southern Cross plane can be reused anywhere else. Anyway, okay? So let's just save that. And if I say let's go to event, I believe. Okay. So if we click on file, no, I really can't see it there. One thing I wanted to show you is that at the field level, you can control what media types can be uploaded. This has been configured to only allow document media types. If you go up the top here and click on feature image, you can only upload images. You can set up a featured image field or some type of featured asset field to accept multiple media types. It's up to you. And what we can do is, let's go back in here. We can also embed media assets through CKEditor. So let's just quickly do that. So if I click on, well, put the cursor somewhere in CKEditor, and you want to click on this Insert Media button. Now, if you can't see this button, ask your developers to put it in and tell them to install the media library module. It comes with Drupal core. And if we click on that, and here you can see all the different media types we can upload. So we can go ahead and select one of our images, or an image that came with Drupal CMS. And if we click on it, we do have a few options. We can center it, we can align it right, align it left. We can also, I believe, resize it using different image styles. So an image style is just a predefined cropping of an image. So say for this example, okay, you have 3:4. You can see that that is a certain ratio, and that can be configured to be resized and scaled. And that's more of a site building. So that's more of a site building thing. But we have a 16:9, which is widescreen, 9:16, that's vertical, and you have 1:1, which is square. So you can resize and do all sorts of stuff. And if we click on that, and well, let's go small and click on save, we can see our image has been uploaded and embedded. Pretty simple. And finally, what we can do, let's go back and edit. We can embed a YouTube video. So let me go ahead and do that. So let me copy over one of my own videos, which you can access by going to the WebWash YouTube channel. See, there you go, a bit of upselling. We can chuck in the video, the URL, and the media, the Drupal media system will automatically grab the title and the thumbnail of the video because it integrates with YouTube and also Vimeo as well. Now let's click on save. And if we embed it and click on save up here, we will see our embedded video. And there is a bit of functionality because of privacy concerns. You want to click on yes, and then you can embed and then you can see your embedded video right here. And best of all, if we go to media, we can then see the remote video with the thumbnail and the title as well. And that automatically just pull down. And I do have another live stream on advanced media management. So just check it out. Just check it out if you want to learn more about it. And here you can see that we have the title and also just the remote video. You can download extra modules that then integrate with other video platforms, but talk to your developers and site builders for that. So when it comes to managing media, Drupal has you covered. Trust me, there was a time where Drupal had no media management functionality. But nowadays, with media and media library, you can create reusable assets and you can just drop them anywhere you want or anywhere that it has been configured. Let's go back to content and let's take a look at CKEditor. Let me just remove this. So CKEditor is this text editor right here. And depending on how your site is configured, you may or may not see more or fewer buttons. It depends how your site's being configured. From this dropdown, I believe this is the heading dropdown or the styles dropdown or the block dropdown. You can change between different HTML elements. So we have paragraph H2 to 6. Then you have the standard stuff such as bold, italics. You can create a block quote. You can create a ordered list, unordered list. Oh no, sorry, that's wait a minute. No, that's an unordered list. That's an ordered list. You can also change the starts at, which is pretty cool. You can also justify your content. You can also undo and redo. And you can remove formatting as well. And finally, you can click on source, and that will allow you to see the source and see the HTML source. One important feature of the editor, especially CKEditor, is the ability to just link to content in Drupal. Now, luckily for us, Drupal CMS is using the link it module, I believe, and I don't know if that functionality is going to be moved into Drupal core, but eventually it might. So if we select a piece of content and click on the link button, we actually have an autocomplete field here. So I can search for the title of another page. Let's do contact and simply select it and click on insert. And that is going to create a link for us. Best of all, it does keep the UUID of the page or of the content. So it's smart enough. So Drupal's smart enough to know that we're not just hard coding relative URLs, but it will. I don't know if it will actually switch that if you've changed the URL alias. Anyway, that's something I can test out later. But just remember that if you do want to create content, if you do want to link to content, all you need to do is just select it and then click on the link and then just search for your content. And that is it. Another thing you can do is add tables. Come along in here, chuck in a table and just create a table. And I believe you can just go ahead and create as many table items as you want. Now, of course, the look and feel of the table will depend on how well you've styled it on the front end. And I do know that this theme styles it pretty well. So if we go back and edit, we can also justify our content. So we can move it to the right, or you can justify it for width, center it. You have a lot of control. And there are extra buttons you can add if you want to. Well, let me just show it to you. Maybe you can, if you want to ask your developers to throw it in as content producers, you can ask them. If you go to text formats and editors and configure, you do have a few more options up the top here as well. And you can move these across. So you do have underline. Now, why don't you have underline by default? Even strike through. Strike through is interesting. I do like that one, and horizontal line. And that's the old image and things like that. Anyway, there's a lot you can control here. So you can go ahead and do all of that. Now, at this point, we've looked at how to create content. Well, no, let's start at the beginning, okay? At this point, we've looked at how to log in to a Drupal site, how to navigate in the backend, how to create content, manage taxonomy terms, manage media assets, dealing with workflow. Now let's talk about SEO, because that is another thing that content editors have to deal with. And as somebody that's written, I think, 200 blog posts on webwash.net, SEO plays an important part. It absolutely plays an important part. Back in the day, before I started writing a lot of content online, I'd always get these SEO reports from like an SEO agency, and they'll say, oh, can you update this, and this on your Drupal site? And, you'll always be like, oh, whatever. They're just talking about annoying things, putting a header here, header there. But then once you actually start writing content, you do see sites in a very different way, because by day, I would be a developer and I'll build websites for clients, but then by night, I'll be writing content and actually just using a website. And that's two very separate things. So SEO plays an important part. Now, Drupal CMS comes with a lot out of the box. So when you install the SEO tools, so if you come to extend and recommended, there will be an SEO tools recipe module that you can install. And that sets things up such as meta tags, XML sitemap, robots.txt, and a whole bunch of stuff. So what you can do first of all, meta tags are supported out of the box. So if we come along in here and go view source, you can see that open graph tags are set up and they are automatically populated. So with like image, width and height. Also description, I believe the description comes from the description field. You can see that a lot is configured. And if you do want to, let me just close that. If you do want to modify it yourself, you can come along in here and then go to configuration. And where is it? Meta tag. And you can come along here and just modify it as much as you want. There's a lot you can do here. And from the right-hand side, we have XML sitemap. So again, sitemaps are supported out of the box. By default, I do believe they are switched on all content types. You can turn them off and you can also remove individual pages from your sitemap. You may want to do that. I've done that in the past to kind of make sure the link juice, I don't know if that's a thing these days with AI, but back in the day when I was researching SEO stuff that I talk about Google juice or link juice, you want to control where the crawler goes. But if we go to, what is it? Sitemap.xml, you can see all of the pages that have been added. And if you want to control what content types actually appear, you can edit your content type or any type of, I think, entity type or bundle. Come along in here and they just say, do not index entities of type basic page. So there's a lot you can do here. There's a lot you can do here. And then we have URL aliases. So Drupal out of the box supports URL, like custom URL aliases. Because back in the day, I actually chose, believe it or not, I chose Drupal. The only reason why I chose Drupal back in the 4.6 days was because a client came to me and said, I need a website and I want to manage it myself. And I'm like, okay. And you know, back in the day, you had Drupal, WordPress, Joomla just was forked because it used to be Mambo. Now I'm showing my age there. Who remembers Mambo? But there was, something happened. Mambo got forked. Well, no, Joomla didn't get forked. Mambo got forked and then Joomla became Joomla. And I remember, I think with Joomla, getting clean URLs was a paid for plugin. And I chose Drupal purely because he came out of the box. And then the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, that's why I chose Drupal in the beginning. That was like 4.6 days or 4.7. Long time ago. So out of the box, Drupal has support for URL aliases. And Drupal CMS comes with a few configured patterns. Now, what is a pattern? Well, let me close a few of these tabs. If we click on these content types, a few of them. Oh, let me go. Nah, that's enough. All right, so a basic page will just have the title added to the URL. Then for events, it starts off with events / and then the title. For news, it'll be news / and then the date it was created / and then the title. So you do have certain patterns, and depending on your information architecture, and this is important, these patterns can be set up in a way where if you want events to have a particular pattern, it can be configured because the actual path can dictate and control the breadcrumb. And that's an important part when it comes to information architecture. So all of these can be configured if we go and edit our page. If you scroll down and click on configure URL alias patterns, here you can see all of the available patterns. So if you do have something custom and you want something custom set up, talk with your site builders and get them to modify this. Now, by default, it'll automatically generate the URL alias for us. But if you want to modify this, you can do that just by clicking on, unchecking it and then just putting in your custom one. So you can put in, I don't know, changed or something. And then click on save and it will then change it to whatever it was, -- changed. And then if you edit that, you can then go back to the generated version, the pattern, and it'll go back to that option. So you do have a bit of control when it comes to your aliases. And if we go to configuration and go down to URL aliases, you can see all of the available ones. So you can come along here and search for them and modify them, and you can essentially also delete them and rerun them as well. If, for example, you have changed the patterns and you want to do a big update. Now, if you're doing that if you are updating the patterns on a site that has existing content, now be aware that you just want to kind of back up your database and you want to make sure that you test out regenerating the content, because the last thing you want is to stuff up historical links and lose all that extra traffic. But then if you do make a massive change, I've heard stories where if you do make a massive change to the URLs, you are going to lose some traffic anyway. Now let's take a look. And speaking about making changes, let's take a look at redirects, because that's another feature that editors like to control. So Drupal CMS comes with the redirect module, and you can easily create redirects. So if we go to content, and let's go to our DrupalCon Atlanta 2025. This is past actually, but let's just imagine we want to change this. We want to have a redirect. So instead of events / we want to change it so where, our old URL was, I don't know, something else. So from the right-hand side, let me make sure my head's not covering it. No, it's not. From the right-hand side, click on URL redirects. And I'll bring that up. So URL redirects, and then click on add URL redirect. And that will take you to this add redirect page, and we can put in the old path. So we can put in events old, and what's the full path? Well, let's copy that across. And we can specify the 301, or no, sorry, the redirect status. So if it should be 301, 307, you can control all of that. And you can simply go save. And now you can manage all of your redirects from here. And if we go to this path, what was that path? Let's go look. -old, it'll automatically redirect. Now, you probably didn't see that because I was too quick, but let me just bring this up here. And let's go here. If we go again to -old and then zoom up, you will see, bring that up, you will see this 301 right here, okay? It redirected and then just went to the new path. And to manage all of this, you can go to configuration and click on, where is it? URL redirects. You can see the redirects right here as well. Now, another thing to be aware of is that if you go to settings, you can automatically create redirects when the URLs change. So if you do make a change to the URL alias, it will automatically create a redirect. You may or may not want this on, especially if you are making changes to a staging site, because often what you do is whenever you're making a big website change, you might have a content team modifying content on a staging site that isn't publicly available yet. In that case, you don't have to worry about keeping historical links. If you don't have to worry about maintaining historical links, then I would recommend that you turn this off, or you'll have a redirect table that's massive and very big. But on a live site, if we make a change, so let's go ahead here and let's make a change to this URL. we even have redirect? Yeah, see, a redirect has been created. But if we come along in here and just make a change, then let's have a look and see how many redirects were created. Come along in here. We have now 2 redirects right here. And we can see our redirects there. And if I go to configuration, redirect, where is it? I can see, yep, this one right here. And the other page to be fully aware of is clicking on fix 404 pages. So if we go ahead here, I think this one might actually happen. You will see this is a great way of keeping track of redirect of 404 errors. So if you have migrated to another site or a new site, you can see exactly where links are breaking. Oh, well, thank you. I just looked in the comments now, got a super comment. Well, thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. All right. Great idea for a video. Thanks. By the way, I've been messing around with Claude after seeing your videos on it. Amazing how well it understands Drupal. Well, thank you very much for your super comment. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Claude Code knows a fair bit about Drupal, and I think it's just going to get better and better. Especially with like sub-agents. I think now with Claude Code and sub-agents, I think people are going to start writing very specific sub-agents for certain parts of Drupal. I do think, and I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, I would love there to be some type of sub-agent that can interact nicely with Drush. And what I mean by that is I can tell the sub-agent, create all of these fields, create a content type and create a bunch of fields for me. And then it automatically uses Drush to create those fields and content types without having to install anything in Drupal itself. I think that would be pretty good. Because sometimes you work on Drupal sites where you don't want to install a whole bunch of extra modules. But I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, it's interesting. I can't actually reply to that super comment. All I get is time to reply to this super chat has expired. It was literally like 3 minutes ago. Anyway. Anyway. All right, let's just clean up these tabs. Always too many tabs. Let's go back into our page. And the last SEO section I want to talk about is if you click on search engine optimization, you will see that you can modify the SEO title, description. You can also modify the feature image or the SEO image if you want it to be separate to the feature image. And then you can also do this type of SEO analysis. This is similar to that Yoast SEO. It's very similar to it. So if we put in, say, what's a common word for history? That'll be common. What did I do? Okay, so don't hit enter when you use that. Come along in here. See preview, SEO preview. You can see that if you put in these focus words, it tells you a bit of information about it. So it does a bit of basic content analysis. And again, you can install this on a standard Drupal site, but yeah, you've got this functionality directly in Drupal CMS. So when it comes to SEO, Drupal CMS has you covered, trust me. Has you covered. And best of all, it's free. I mean, that's the good thing. That's a good thing about it. As I've mentioned a few times, I use WordPress for WebWash.net. Maybe it should eventually become a Drupal site, seeing that I talk mostly about Drupal, but I did convert that site from a Drupal 7 site over to WordPress nearly 10 years ago. So it's been a very long time, okay? Very long time that it's been WordPress. And back then, I chose to move it over to WordPress purely because I wanted to focus on writing content, not fixing up another Drupal site, because I realized that I was just procrastinating and avoiding writing content because there was always it was a little harder. And you know, the writing, the functionality when it comes to writing on a WordPress site back then was much better than Drupal. Drupal has caught up by by a massive amount. It has caught up. But what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to SEO tools, I pay for, what is it, rank math or rank math on WordPress. But in Drupal, this is all available for free, and it is pretty awesome what is available. Let's finish things off now by looking at forms. Because as content editors, you want to create forms. And again, this is all available for free thanks to the Webform module. And Webform is one of my most favorite modules in Drupal. And the reason for that is because it is one of the few modules that's actually a product in itself, where it's not a library or that something that helps you integrate things together. It's you install it and you get something out of the box, which is awesome. Okay, that's one thing I love about Webform, and I use it on every single site. And I've talked about Webform many times on my live streams. So if we go to extend and recommend, I've got the forms recipe installed, and as long as you have access, you can come to structure and then click on web forms, and you can see and manage all of your forms and also all of your submissions. So let's go ahead and just create a basic form called event social, and we'll add it to just the event content type. So what you can do is click on add form, and we'll call this one social event. And let's click on add element. And here you can select all of your elements. So these are essentially like fields. Okay, you can select all of your elements. And let's search for text, and I'll add in a text field. I'll call this one full name. And you can configure validation. Let's make it required. You can also change the conditions, make it conditional. I've got a whole section of a live stream just about conditional elements in Webform. And also you can control a whole bunch of other stuff. We can also click on then, apologies. Let me move my head to the left. There we go. You can see all these options right here. And let's click on save and add element. And I'll also add email. You have a few email fields, but let's just add in one. Call this one email. And let's click on click on add elements, and I'll put in a checkbox because I want this one to be called will you attend? So think of this, you're organizing some type of event and it's like you want to meet up for social drinks or something. And let's make it required, okay? And hit save. And we can test out our form by clicking on here, and we can test it out, okay? Cool. So at this point we have the form. Let's now add it to just the event content type. Now to do that, go to structure, block layout. Let's add it to the content below, search for web form, and click on place block. And you want to search for, what's it called? Social. And click on save block. Let's go back and configure the web form, and I'll also move myself back to the right. And then under visibility, click on content type and then just select event. This means that the block visibility settings will only show this block if the content type is event, and click on save. And that's it. So now if we go to our basic page, well, we won't see anything. If we go to blog, we won't see anything. But if we go to event, we will see right down at the bottom, we should see this web form. And what we can do is put in our full name, email, and will you attend? Well, by making this required, it means that you will have to attend. I just realized that anyway. When we click on submit, and it's going to then redirect us to the confirmation page. Let's fix up the form so that it does it as an Ajax request and it keeps you on the same page. So let's go ahead and do that. All we need to do is let's open up Webforms in a new tab and click on build, go to setting and scroll down until you see use Ajax. Select that and well, let's save that. Go to confirmation and you have to make sure that the confirmation is changed from page to inline or message. And you'll see that because page is selected, it will complain about things. So select inline and click on save. And now if we go back to our event, fill this out and then click on yes, I will attend and click on submit. It's going to do it inline. And best of all, we haven't moved or we haven't changed pages. Now, just imagine the ability of embedding in web forms wherever you want in Drupal. You can do all that type of stuff. You can do a lot of cool things. So when it comes to managing forms, you're covered with Drupal CMS. Now to see all of the available submissions, you can come to forms and then submissions, and you can see right here where everything was submitted. And best of all, you can see from which page the form was submitted, because you could add this block into a region and then have it appear on multiple pages. And you can easily drill down to exactly where it was submitted. And then if you click on edit, you can see all this information about it. You can even have email confirmations sent. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with Webform. So let's just recap what we have covered. So as a content editor, you've looked at how to log in to a Drupal site. You've also learned about the backend, the difference between the backend and frontend, how to create content, how to duplicate pages, how to attach featured images, understanding the workflow, understanding the taxonomy system. What else? Media handling, covered that, CKEditor, SEO, and Webform. And I do hope that now as content editors, you just feel more comfortable using Drupal. But one of the things that does make Drupal a little hard to use is that every Drupal site is very customizable, which means that just because you know how to use one Drupal site doesn't mean you know how to use all Drupal sites. And a lot of the magic, a lot of the good parts of Drupal is that you can customize the content edit page by putting in a lot of fields. But also the downside is that sometimes it's a very custom and bespoke solution, because to create pages could require using a certain types of paragraphs and just moving certain things in particular ways. But as long as you understand how to use the backend, then Drupal makes sense. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Drupal, then head over to webwash.net and also check out the other live streams on the YouTube channel. And as I previously mentioned, I do have this community now I've started up, which is called WebWash Premium, where you get access to private forums. We can ask any questions you want, and also eventually more of the top live streams, ad-free and also edited, just cut down. And I do plan to also have some extra premium courses as well, and also give you access to the code for those sites. If you want to learn more about it, just head over to webwash.net/premium. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. All right. So I hope everyone had fun. Ooh, had a few dropped frames today. 165. That's right. All right. So I had a few good comments. Thank you everyone for joining. I thought I wasn't going to get that many comments today. Thanks for joining. That was that was a fun one. I do have a few extra ideas for other live streams now, but anyway. No, that was fun. That was fun. All right. See how things are going. Thanks for joining. No, thank you. Thanks for joining. All right. Now, do I have a video? No. I don't have a specific video on customizing Olivero. I do have a video or two on just modifying themes and sub-theming and things like that. If you take a look at the live tab, I do have a few videos on that, but not specifically customizing Olivero, because it really depends like what you want customized. If you want to sub-theme it and then make your own changes, or you want to make a few other little short, quick changes and things like that. So yeah, take a look at the live streams for that. All right. Well, thank you very much all for joining. Well, now that the summer break is over for me, I had 2 weeks off, back into it. So let me take a quick look and see. I'll have. So what is it? Assets, manage assets. I do have, manage CSS and JavaScript assets in Drupal CMS. Yeah, there's a few of them there. All right. Well, let me finish off. Thank you so much for joining. Hope everyone had fun. And I'll catch you all next week. Take care.